Welcome to an episode of r/slash malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. Sit back and enjoy these stories, and at the end of this video, make sure to like and comment, and definitely subscribe if you have not already done so. Enjoy. And this story is posted by u/N1K1B1K1E. The guy wanted that go-kart. This happened about 3 years ago. I worked at an underground go-karting area. I worked as a controller, so I sold tickets and controlled the races, meaning I stopped and started races. It was one of the busiest Saturday nights. I'm rushing around with tickets and controlling races. My marshals are running around and trying to make sure the races run smoothly. This one family comes in and bought 2 tickets. The father and son wanted to race each other. When it came to their turn, the father says he wanted that kart and pointed at the one in the island. The kart in the island is black with some nice fire patterns on it. It really did look awesome, but here's the catch. It's just a prop with no engine. I told the father this, but he insisted on that kart. I thought he was maybe a little hard of hearing or it was too noisy for him, so I repeated myself. He called me a liar and called the marshal a liar. We went back and forth with this for about 10 minutes. The marshal pulled me aside and whispered into my ears, and the more he spoke, the more I smiled. We went back to the father and agreed on giving him the kart. We asked if he wanted his wife to video record the race, and he agreed readily. I told them the basic rules and also told them that I will only stop the race if there is a real emergency. Just before the race started, my boss walked into the control room and I explained everything to him. He smiled and took a chair out for himself to watch the show. The lights turn green, the wife starts recording, the son is off, and the father was still where he is. He went off at us and telling us that we have cost him the race, etc., etc. We get him into another kart, but by then his son has done 2 laps. After the race, the father demanded that he speaks to my manager, and to his luck, my boss is standing next to. My boss's words, "You got what you asked for, so I suggest you leave or we'll call security." The father leaves and his wife had tears in her eyes from laughter. The son apparently won $100. Remember, this happened in front of 200 plus customers. And this story is posted by u/Bree Potato. Ex-landlord says he'll see me in court. I take him to court instead and win. Brief backstory. A couple years ago, I was in an apartment with my friend and younger sister. My sister was violent towards my friend and I ended up having to get a restraining order against her. She brought in a dog without permission, which caused some damage to the unit. I informed my landlord of the incidences of violence and the damage and sent him pictures. He basically told me to deal with it myself, which I did by getting the protective order. After this, my roommate questioned the legality of holding us responsible for her portion of rent. I told her it was, but she asked our landlord for a copy of the lease to show her uncle anyway, which admittedly was pretty stupid. Up until this point, our landlord had not asked us to leave due to my sister's actions, but he did after the lease was brought into it. We were out by the date he specified on the notice to quit, the first step in the eviction process before the eviction actually occurs. My roommate was there until midnight, making sure the place was spotless. We moved to an apartment across the street. 2 weeks had passed since he was informed that we had vacated the unit and we had not gotten anything regarding our security deposit. In our state, a landlord is required by law to either return the remainder of a security deposit within 2 weeks or provide a letter itemizing what the deposit was used for. If they don't, the tenant is owed the entire deposit. If the withholding is willful, the tenant is owed double the original deposit. The landlord had actually told me that he would be going on vacation immediately after we vacated, so I returned our keys to him and waited to see if he would send anything. He never did. After consulting with the tenants' rights group to be sure I was in the right, I sent a pre-formatted letter 16 days after we vacated, which stated the specific laws regarding security deposits and gave him our current address to send either the deposit or receipt to. The day after I sent this letter, I see him across the street, frantically running into the apartment for the first time since we moved out. I received a text from him saying that he would return what's left of our deposit if he could get the apartment rented by the 1st of next month. I responded by telling him that, as the letter I sent explained, he forfeits the right to keep any of the deposit after the 2 weeks is up. He responded saying that he would see us in court and that we were nightmare tenants and that this will be fun. He said he also would be taking us to court for the cost to relist and rent the apartment, which he claimed exceeded the amount of our deposit. After about a month or two of hearing nothing back, we decided to say F it and file a small claim suit against him, as he clearly wasn't going to follow through on his threats. As the person who had almost all communication with him, I was the plaintiff in the case. He brought a letter that was dated for the day he texted me, where he arbitrarily wrote in what he used the deposit on and claimed he sent us the letter. That obviously didn't add up, which I thoroughly explained to the judge, as he had texted me that day saying that we would get some of the deposit returned and that he had no proof that he actually sent that letter. He clearly just wrote it and printed it out for the court hearing. During the court hearing, he also said a lot of false and victim-blaming spit, such as implying that I participated in the violence that occurred, saying we caused damages that were definitely there when we moved in, and just attacking my character in general. The judge ruled that the withholding of the security deposit was willful and awarded us double the deposit. But of course, that wasn't the end of it. And a few days before his deadline to pay us the money, he sends me a text just letting me know that the decision has been appealed. I didn't answer and showed up to court again, and lo and behold, it's more mudslinging and arguing about things that we already established in the first hearing. The judge upheld the original decision, and he eventually mailed me the check for double the deposit. In the memo line on the check where you can write the reason for the payment, he wrote, "For gaining 20 pounds. But hey, I cashed that check and spent my half on a new gaming laptop, so I'd say I got the last laugh. I desperately wanted to text him and ask him if it was as fun as he thought it would be, but resisted the urge. Edit. Apparently I didn't make this clear enough, but yes, violence occurred towards me as well. I could do without the victim blaming, and the dog that she brought in without permission chewed a tiny chunk off of the windowsill. In court, the falsified deposit receipt letter was mostly comprised of cleaning fees and damages that were there when we moved in. And this story is posted by u/a_good_nugget. Want me to go whine to the principal because you think he'll side with you? No problem. So this happened back in high school, but I still think about it and smile. When I was in high school, I ended up moving across the state to live with my great aunt due to my dad passing away, and he was my last living parent. When I transferred schools, the guidance counselor knew of the situation and was sure to make sure all of my teachers knew about my situation. This is important for later. They informed them so they wouldn't mention my parents and was allowed to leave if I got upset. Most teachers were very understanding and would make sure I felt supported. My English teacher was not one of those people. She really didn't like me, and I never understood why. She would do petty things like asking questions, then having me answer even though I didn't have my hand up because I didn't know the answer. She would then make fun of me. She would mark my paper down for something, but not my friends who had the same mistake. She would take my phone, even though at first she said we could use our phones and would only take mine. I kind of just took her crap until she kept saying she would call my parents knowing they were no longer alive. She would say this almost every class period. After class one day, I asked to speak with her and asked her to please stop mentioning my parents because it upsets me, and was given permission to leave the class to calm down. All she said was it's her classroom and she can do what she wants, and if I don't like it, I should go whine to the principal, but she'll side with her. I walked away heated, but the next day I tried to ask her to stop one more time, and she replied with the same whine to the principal. So me being the now pissed obedient kid, I did what she told me to. I told the principal everything, crying like a little baby. He was appalled and promised it would be fixed. The next day, mean teacher continued to be a jerk, but this day was special. She decided she would take my phone and not give it back until my parents came to pick it up. I was in tears and said they can't, which she knew. For some reason, I snapped that day. When she said that she was done with me and would be calling my parents, I angrily screamed back, "Good luck. I don't think they have good service 6 feet under. It would be easier to buy a Ouija board to speak to them since they were dead." Everyone was shocked and kind of staring. A minute later, the principal comes in and mean teacher had a smirk thinking she won. Oh no, sweetie, you did not. He sternly told her to go to a conference room and they would be having a meeting with him and me. He was standing outside the door since class begun and heard everything. I'll spare you all the screaming details, but long story short, she was fired. On her way out, she blamed me and told me I shouldn't have gone to the principal. I smiled sweetly and said, well, you said if I didn't like it, I should whine to the principal. Now, if you don't like it, you can whine to the principal. Oh, wait, you can't because you're fired. I turned and walked away. And this story is posted by u/2sample-t-test. Stay in this chair. I'll be right back. My 4-year-old and I were playing in a kiddie pool on our lawn. I had to run inside to use the bathroom and sat him on a lawn chair under the carport and told him to stay in this chair until I got back. Didn't want him to drown, parent stuff. I returned and he had placed the lawn chair in the kiddie pool and is sitting in the chair in the pool. I was not prepared for my kid to be smarter than me. These were 4 great stories, so we definitely thank you for listening, and do us a huge favor, comment, like, share, and definitely subscribe for sure so you'll be able to get more of the reminders for new videos that come out in the future. Have yourselves an incredible day. This has been TNA Top Notch Audio.